Welcome to the stream, everybody. We're going to be discussing 10 Cloverfield Lane. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers. Let's see. I'm going to be discussing 10 Cloverfield Lane with Arena. Her YouTube channel is AriNaNana. AriNaNana. And she's very thoughtful, and I've liked talking to her in the past, so we're doing a stream. That's going to be happening a bit. Until then, gotta get a little bit warmed up. Let's see. Give me a fucking link out at least. I wonder how having the word pedo in the title will affect the algorithmic distribution. I mean, by my estimation, it should probably boost it, but probably won't. I mean, I did my research. It's iffy. Depends on what day of the week it is. That's YouTube. Okay. You hear me chewing on ice? You like that? Folks, a penis is a TV show that you watch with your clitoris. Okay? You watch TV with your eyes, you watch a cock with your clit. We got some cock watchers in chat. I'm convinced this person that says, hello everyone, happy whatever day of the week it is, every single time I start my stream, very consistently at the 1 minute mark, I'm convinced this is a bot. So I'm not going to say that person's name. If you're not a bot, then why don't you say, you're not a bot? Okay, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights is not a bot. Well, thank you for pointing that out. But I had it in my head because every single time you're very, very consistent, and I mean, I just assume that consistency has to come from a bot. Well, I appreciate that you're not a bot. That's cool. You get that a lot? Interesting. Well, let's get the stream booted up.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
Yeah, okay. Chewing on ice, bitch. So, you get that almost once a day. It's cool. I mean, you're welcome to, I don't know, you're just consistent. It's okay. Just got out of therapy. Went to work in the morning at 6 a.m. Went to therapy. Came here, set up my stream. Was forced to do bullshit tasks by my family. And now I'm here. You've been looking for a nice Trinitron monitor, but you can't find one near you. Yeah. People trying to set up. Well, thank you very much. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights for the $2. Bots don't donate. Well, I believe you. I believe you. I believe you. Either you are not a bot, or you really, really, really want me to believe that you're human, and in that case, then I accept you. I accept you as a human, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. I accept you as a human. Because you paid me to. Thank you. I've heard it said before that Tinder is like a bargain bin for dating. And I think your odds are better the younger you are, because younger people throw themselves into the bargain bin without knowing what the fuck they're doing. So there's just some like people, it's like the older you get, the more bargain binny it gets. More, I mean, but also dating at 20 sucks. It's still bargain bin. You're a bargain bin significant other. You're a bargain bin partner until you're 26. That's what I would say. Even if you are a 20-year-old dating a 20-year-old, you're both dating fixer-uppers. You're both dating fixer-uppers. That's for damn sure. It's bad getting about that time, so why don't I see about Cullen. All right. Yeah, I think that Tinder is set up to make it impossible to be intimate. You feel like you have nothing to offer a woman as an unattractive 18-year-old? Well, that's not true. That's not true. Don't get caught up in that. Don't get caught up in that, because that you're getting caught up in the Andrew Tate or red pill or whatever, where you have to like have something to offer. That's fucking bullshit. You need 5 goats to give the father of your future bride of the dowry or whatever the fuck it's called. You need to give her. Yeah. It was, yeah, okay. Shifting gears, but yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane I liked it a lot. It was a great movie. Quite enjoyed it. We're going to get into it. But yeah, don't get sucked into that thinking you don't deserve love or something. Fuck that, dude. Yeah, you do. You're chill. I don't know anything about you, but everybody. Hello. Hold on. I am live right now. I'm not as nice as Brittany Simon with a nice little buffer.
No worries.
Yeah. It's because I like to have like an intro, and the way I have my audio set up, Anyway, I'm currently moving you around. Are you streaming?
Nope.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you came to me, but you're giving me the content.
I think it's a good movie, and I'd be interested to hear your perspective on it. We talked a little bit
Yeah.
behind the scenes about it, so I think we can expand on it a bit more.
Yeah, usually I don't do that, but I don't know. I've talked to you 2 times now on like a panel, and I don't know. I thought you were just very interesting, so I talked to you. Usually I would avoid talking to you about the topic in DMs, but I just thought you piqued my interest. So, but we might have ruined it. We might have ruined the conversation.
How so?
By already having it.
Oh, I don't think so. I think there's a lot that while we talked a little bit about the movie, we could go much deeper into it. So I don't know. Do you think we went deep enough?
Not really. No, not into the. So yeah, you get kidnapped by a pedophile, child molester, murderer. But you don't know. So let's do. Okay, I guess we should do like a synopsis.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah. Why don't you do it?
Sure. So the movie 10 Cloverfield Lane, which if you haven't seen, obviously there will be spoilers, everybody. So go watch it and then come back and watch the VOD. But the premise is that a woman who is actually leaving her fiance, she's in the car, she's driving away, gets into a car crash and then finds herself chained to a wall by a very suspicious man played by John Goodman. She is rightfully very, very suspicious of him, but he tells her that there was some sort of apocalypse, the outside is not safe. She meets another man who is also in this place, which we find out to be a bunker, who confirms what John Goodman's character tells her. And finally, she gets her suspicions confirmed for herself when she sees a victim of the apocalypse kind of banging on the bunker door. So then they have a few months of peace as she realizes that John Goodman's character was right in a way. But then should we end it there and kind of talk a little bit about that, or should we just say the whole how the whole movie goes?
Yeah, no, I think I'll continue from there.
Yeah.
So then it turns out that he's absolutely right. There was some type of apocalyptic like attack. He says it's aliens, and in the end, it turns out it actually was aliens. But you also get the hint that he's a conspiracy theorist, and he's kind of kooky, and he's very subordinating of both of his guests, and very controlling. But it's his bunker. Part of you is trying to give him a pass, but then they put it together, and this girl that he's been referring to as his daughter was actually his victim who he had kidnapped and kept in the bunker. And your imagination fills in the blanks for as refers to her as like a princess, and eventually he wheels out the barrel, and it's like a barrel of acid to dissolve a human body in. So, yeah.
Yes, and that is where our hero named Michelle, I think I'm just going to start referring to the character's name. So Howard is our bunker guy. The other guy is Emmett, who is also there, who actually broke into the bunker as the apocalypse was happening because he knew that Howard was working on the bunker, and Michelle is the main character. So once Michelle finds out about the kidnapped girl, her and Emmett begin to make a plan to leave the bunker. Michelle, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, she is a fashion designer. So she starts fashioning a hazmat suit, like either a seamstress or something like that. She starts fashioning a hazmat suit out of the materials around the bunker. She is also the only one small enough to kind of get into the vents of the bunker, so she's kind of able to move around stealthily as her and Emmett work on their plan. They end up getting caught, and Emmett ends up taking the blame for this plan and then promptly getting shot.
He's very stupid. Emmett's like a lovable idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I really enjoyed Emmett as a character. I don't want to say but he's like a comparison to Howard.
Okay, wait.
Sense, right?
You said that you really liked Max from
Yes.
from what was the
I
movie?
did.
What was the movie called?
Poor Things.
Poor Things. Okay, Emmett is. I hated Max, but I love Emmett. I think Emmett. If you're gonna have like a nice guy archetype, Emmett is so much better in my opinion than Max.
Ooh, that's interesting. Emmett has a lot more screen time and is a lot more developed than Max.
Well, I just thought Max just was so not self-sacrificing, just I
Like, didn't respect himself?
yeah, didn't respect himself, and like, you know, like in like an intimate relationship, it would just be like a doormat. I just picture him being like a doormat. Emmett wouldn't be like. Emmett would just like. I can imagine Emmett like crying because you hurt his feelings. Mm-hmm. But I imagine Max like saying, "Oh no, it's all fine," and then going into his room and then like punching his pillow.
Interesting. I feel like we didn't get that. That's my one thing with Poor Things. I feel like we didn't get enough time with Max. So for me, I projected a lot of features and character traits onto Max that were just like assumptions for me.
Maybe I'm doing that too. Maybe I'm doing that too.
Yeah, like we didn't get much time with Max. So for me, like what Max reminds me of is people that I do really like, men that I do really like in my life. Like some of the features of him that I do find admirable, but there really isn't enough to latch on to versus Emmett, who is one of the three main characters. It's a very, in 10 Cloverfield Lane is a very limited setting, limited character movie. And so that gives us enough time with each of the characters.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about Max and how much I hate him. So, I mean, we're not talking about 10 Cloverfield Lane, but yeah. So like I was listening like a half an hour ago. I was listening to some random YouTube video about this game Hollow Knight, and there's like a lot of like 20-year-old young men that like will make a YouTube channel, and they like sound like they're really scared with all their commentary, and they're like, guys, I'm gonna say something crazy, and they just kind of sound scared. You know what I mean? And they like preface everything they say, and that's the like. And I always am like, oh, like I don't even know any women YouTubers that do this. This is like a man thing, like this pathetic man thing. But I don't know. Like I see Max as that, and it's just like, no, don't do it. And the fact that you like him freaks me out. Okay, no. Wait, I can tie that into. Okay, I swear we'll actually talk about the movie. But so I had a period in my life where I was a femboy, and I had a lot of success with women being a femboy, but it was women that hated men, and they wanted like so the type that would become a political lesbian, because they're sick of men were like, but I like you. And it was like, oh, so you weren't actually a lesbian. You just wanted a like scrawny guy that like hates being a guy, and like, you know, like you want an anti-guy. And so now I feel really sensitive about these like self-hating men, because like and I feel bad for them. I want to like shake them. You know, no, you don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to yourself.
I guess with Max, which. Again, I really don't feel like we got enough information.
Sure. I'm clearly putting a lot into this.
I do feel like with people in general who have a low self-worth, it can be very, depending on how they present it, right? If they present it outwardly, it can be very difficult to deal with. If they present it inwardly, I feel like for people in general, but probably also women, it kind of brings out this like want to nurture and make that person feel better, you know?
Yeah.
So, but there is a limit to it for sure, because at some point, you know, you're a grown adult, you gotta like start figuring out your relationship with yourself and your self-worth and whatnot.
Maybe that's what's happening with me. I want to nurture him. But my nurturing is like, no, you have to, yeah.
I think that's why I like him, is because like Emmett and Max, like the thing with them is I would feel safe with them, and I also want to nurture them. And so that's a positive feeling for me. If I'm not, I don't know. So
I love Emmett. I don't have any negative feelings about Emmett at all. Yeah, he's great. He's real stupid, but
I mean, as we discussed on the Poor Things panel, all of the Poor Things characters were pretty shallow, so you could really project anything you wanted it onto them, right? So I feel like liking or disliking really any of the characters doesn't really say much about the person other than themselves and like what they're bringing.
It's like I said, it's an embarrassing movie to talk about, I think. But it's everything I do. So anyway, I'll find a way to turn every character into something about myself somehow. But I
mean, that's I think what art is for.
Yeah.
Project yourself onto it.
Yeah. So one reason I think this might be an interesting conversation is because I ended up getting really heated in that last conversation because I was defending the womanizer guy from what was his name? Duncan, yeah. And I feel like I could defend what was the
Howard?
I can obviously he's not somebody you want to be in a bunker in whatsoever, but he actually did save her life. And I would yes. This is okay. The movie is perfect for me. I think it was like a A+ movie. If it was me, maybe I would be too afraid, because after spending like a couple months with him, I would have really sized him up, probably been able to predict how he'd react. But I would have want to confront him in a way like, hey, what did you do? Like, I know you fucking did something. What did you do? We're going to be in here for years together. Talk to me about what the fuck you did. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a path that could have happened. It's like, okay, well, I got to live with you. You got to live with me. We might be some of the last people on Earth. You know?
Is that you putting yourself in Michelle's shoes, Emmett's shoes, or if you, Smeth, were in the bunker with him?
If I was in the bunker with him, not if I was Michelle. Like I don't. If I was Michelle, I probably would have done whatever she did. But I like if you're in an apocalyptic situation, like someone who is like a rapist or rapist murderer, it's like. Yeah, but like you're not raping me right now, so let's just figure out what the fuck is wrong with you and see if you're you did save me. Okay, so I'll give you a chance to like be honest with me. You know what I mean? How do you feel?
But the reason why he saved her was because
you get that impression. You wanted somebody to rape.
Yeah. So in this situation then you are somewhat putting yourself in the position of Michelle, right? Imagining that let's say he is attracted to you, Smeth, and he's like, I am kidnapping you for the purpose of breeding you or whatever.
Yeah.
Would that not change how you approach the situation? Because I think adding that component of the possibility of rape is a big part of the horror of 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, well, the thing that made me feel that way was the fact that Emmett existed and he was there. And so,
Emmett prevented, I think, the rape from happening.
Oh yeah, just by being there.
Yeah.
Just by being there. Yeah. I would want, honestly, in my completely optimistic vision, I would want that to be like, look, I know you brought me here to rape me, but you're not going to rape me because it's now me, you, and Emmett. So I know that I can't trust you. Give Emmett the gun, and then we'll all live happy. He's not going to shoot you. So like, I don't know. I want to have a conversation like that. It's like, maybe you should be the one in the locked up room for a while. You know what I mean? Until I really, really can trust you. And that's why he had it's obvious at the end, that's why he had a jail cell room. At the beginning, you're like, huh, why does he have this jail cell in his bunker? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think, though, as we learn about Howard's character, and maybe he lied about this, but just based on his physicality and skill set and preparedness and strength, Howard was a trained military personnel. Emmett had a broken arm. Michelle was injured and also,
Yeah.
a woman,
And
so
Howard's also like
physiologically weaker.
350 pounds, he's
Yeah.
way
So
too
there
big.
was so if it was a healthy male and Emmett with the broken arm, I could see the situation turning around on Howard. But if whoever, but that's the whole thing with predators, is they choose somebody who probably can't physically fight back. So even if Howard kidnapped a man, he would probably choose a smaller man, or injure him further, and then how do you end up proceeding, right? You gotta start proceeding from the knowledge that if something goes wrong, you physically won't be able to do anything about it. So that's kind of the delicate balance that Michelle was really towing the line on, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like the gun is the real, like when she took the keys.
But would he give you?
When she took the keys, I was like, why are you taking the keys? Like, you should be taking the gun. Like, if there really is like nuclear fallout, your keys are useless, But I don't know. In the case of an apocalyptic scenario, like no matter how awful someone is, part of me is gonna want to save them too.
Yeah, but the keys were probably a little bit less guarded than the gun, and also who knows, he had more guns, right?
Probably.
Like there wasn't just the one gun, right?
Probably.
And so even if you take the gun, you're untrained, this guy's ex-military. She was, I think, using skill sets that, she made the calculation of like, what do I have a better chance at? And when she took the keys initially, that's when she first discovered the truth of the fallout. And that's when she began actually kind of being like, oh, maybe that was not so bad. Like, because it was at that moment that we start seeing from her perspective of the empathetic things about Howard, of how he wants to feel needed. How
So that's the thing. So like she does steal the keys and she's about to run away. She's about to open the door and it would fuck them all. And then he's like, look, like I'm not lying. And then he forgives her. It makes him seem like he's not really, like, I feel like he's very unlikable. He doesn't know how to socialize or get along with other people. He doesn't know how to just like have fun. And I feel like you just communicate, like, you don't have to hold me at gunpoint. Like, literally, you already have me at gunpoint because there's fucking apocalypse. So like, let's forget about your you don't need to have this fantasy about escaping society with someone to rape them or whatever. We're just stuck in a fucking bunker. And if you can make this a horrible time, or you can, because like, what kind of, like, do you want me to be here willingly or do you want me to be here unwillingly? And you have two choices and one of them really sucks. So I don't know.
I feel like they had that moment for a bit. And they had no, I guess the fact that Michelle was kidnapped, I feel like, so she could have rationalized it this way, because you're saying, oh, confront him at the beginning. What did you do? Let's get it out on the table. So I feel like this is where she went. She was like, okay, this guy saved my life. Maybe he chained me in case I'm the psycho because he wanted to feel safe. And then, and that's like a big thing of like, self-doubt that I think I really related to in the movie, about feeling safe or unsafe around men, not wanting to be prejudiced, not wanting to be, bigoted or whatever. But, you see some signs and you're like, okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean. And then you get like a good moment, like the moment where she sees that he was right. And then they're playing puzzles together and la-di-da, all happy. And then you find out that he kidnapped and raped and murdered somebody. And then you're like, oh shit, I was right this whole time.
Not only that, but you're seeing the signs that that's why you're there too.
Yeah.
Because if it was just him and Emmett, then it would be and Emmett's the character we're talking about. That'd be different.
Yeah, exactly. If it was just him and Emmett, he would have nothing to feel jealous over.
Yeah.
For Emmett, because Howard showed jealousy towards Emmett because Emmett and Michelle started kind of, developing a closer relationship. But if it was just Howard and Emmett, it could probably go on pretty peacefully, which is also interesting. The objectification of Michelle in the movie by Howard specifically. And so you also see that contrast of, a man that does objectify women and like in a real way, right? I don't mean like you look at titties and you're like, oh, those are some nice titties. Like in a real way, like feels possessiveness over her.
I would say subjectify.
Howard subjectifies her.
Oh wait, subject.
I'm saying Howard objectifies her,
subordinate.
whereas Emmett actually subjectifies her.
No, not he objectify. There's a better word. There's a better word for this, I think. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Objectify?
Yeah, well,
dehumanize, maybe?
Like subordinate. I think subordinate.
Yes, subordinate's good. I would also even say dehumanize as well.
Yeah, like turn into cattle. Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate how the movie really saliently presents that difference as well. It presents a situation of this is why women are so cautious, but also here is how you know whether the stronger man you're around is safe or not, right? Because Emmett could still overpower Michelle, but she trusted him because of the behavior that he displayed, and he treated her like a human being.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was also vulnerable and honest with her too.
Yeah. It seemed like Howard was vulnerable too, though, when he had that conversation with Michelle when she was sewing him up after she first injured him. Like that moment when she, discovers that he was right. That's when he tells her about, I think, his military service and how he lost his family or whatever, and how he's lonely and all that. Yeah, it's a
controlled. Yeah. It's only vulnerable with his in a very controlled way. I'm forcing you like it or not are going to stitch me up. He's it's because he's telling her that she is stitching up his forehead because of a gash, which is her fault because she was trying to escape. And so he's like, look, let's let bygones be bygones, but you're fucking stitching me up. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Yeah,
but in that moment, she could almost be like, "Oh shit, that was my fault. You were right." So
it was her fault, and he was right.
Yeah, yeah. So she's like, "Okay, let me do this." But back to the point about the keys, I wonder if him leaving the keys to be so accessible was part of the plan for her to see that he was right.
Ooh.
And so to maybe have the possibility of her being there willingly, but with Emmett being there, that suddenly took her away as a romantic interest.
Yeah,
and
he doesn't have this. You're in that frame. That's a really interesting. It almost makes me want to see a different movie with just him being a slightly different character, but he's just so uncharismatic, and he doesn't have the skills, because that type of character would be very manipulative. I'm gonna let you try to escape so that you can see the radiated, mutilated corpses of pigs outside, so that and then that you're trapped here, and then it can be a come into Jesus moment. But he's so uncharismatic that I feel like the guy who would do that would be really charming and, really convincing. He would act like Emmett. And he.
Ooh. That is actually interesting. I do wonder, though, because for me, at least when I was watching the movie, I went through the same emotional, Michelle's the main character's perspective we're getting, but I went through the same thing where I was like, I actually almost teared up when he was talking about like his service and his family and all that. And so I do wonder then if that was a genuine moment from that character. Because if what you're saying is true, then
I think it was genuine, but I'm just pointing out that he was only comfortable being vulnerable in a situation where he has like power over her.
Oh,
like
that's true.
He's got the guilt.
Is a good point.
He's got the guilt over her, and he's like, I'm gonna be vulnerable with you, but because I know that you hate yourself right now, and I know that you feel like you owe me, you know. It's like it's trauma bonding as a manipulation tactic.
So he is being manipulative.
Yeah, he's just not
the charmer.
He's not
type
good
of
at
like
it.
American Psycho manipulative, but
yeah,
a different kind of manipulative.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to save him.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you think you'd like try to become his therapist?
Have you ever watched The Patient with Steve Carell?
The Hulu show. I started it. I just got to the part where he's in the house, like he's chained up, but I don't think we actually got to see the patient interaction yet. So yeah, I started watching it, but I haven't actually gotten into it. But I know the premise. I know that he's like,
so that's
your
what I'm
best
saying.
Therapist, like, come, therapize me out of wanting to murder everyone or else.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's the same situation. I just wouldn't have thought that it would have been an option to escape at all after seeing someone's body, like their skin falling off their body and they're dying and screaming. I would just think, okay, I'm in here for a long, long time. Either I kill him or I, become his therapist.
That is interesting, actually, that Michelle's and Emmett's plan was to escape the bunker rather than like poison him or clonk him on the head and kill him or something, and then stay in the bunker with the supplies until they can figure out what to do. Right? That was an interesting.
I blame Emmett because he's so stupid, and I feel like his stupidity seeped into the planning, and also just the fact that she is conveniently able to sew clothing and stuff. So I feel she's excited because she gets to do her thing, and he's stupid and he's egging her on, but it's just a horrible plan,
Yeah, I feel like a better plan would have been to get rid of Howard. All right, Emmett, let's sit down. But then that is what Emmett, or what Howard accuses them of, is of them trying to get rid of him and stay in his bunker, which would have been a better plan. And then Emmett admits to that being the plan. But the actual plan was, after Michelle saw the help being scratched onto the skylight, or whatever that was, I think it was a skylight, she wants to get out and actually get help. And as we learn at the end of the movie, there's so apparently this movie is part of a series of movies, all about the same thing. I haven't
very
seen
loosely. All the Cloverfield movies are something happens and at the end it turns out there's aliens. Mm-hmm. So they're very loosely connected.
Okay. But she finds out that there's a group of survivors in Baton Rouge or whatever and starts driving there. So I do wonder how the movie could have gone if the plan was to get rid of Howard. But maybe that was part of the plan. And but they were like, okay, let's also get the hazmat suit so we could get help and see if there's any other survivors. And let's get rid of him. But they didn't get to, or they didn't want to be murderers. They just wanted to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a smarter plan to kill Howard, but considering
he's a big guy.
Murderers,
okay,
Howard is.
Imagine how hard they don't know about the acid, and this is just a random thought, but he's a really big guy, and they have that garbage chute, but you can't get that guy through that garbage chute, so they would be stuck there with the body, and
yeah, it would be tough. They'd have to really get over all of the inherent disgust instincts to be around a dead body, to like cut it up into small enough pieces, and then maybe discover the acid, figure out what to do with the body. So
Oh yeah, there's another movie that this remind me of a lot, about people getting trapped in a bunker. I forget what it's called. Yeah, it's a bunch of people and they all go crazy. I forget, but they ended up having to cut somebody up, and they had to pick which one of us is gonna do it. I forget what movie that was. That's a shame. Yeah, what did you think about when they were doing? Was it charades or the word game where they're trying to guess what word it is, and
oh yeah,
and Howard gets Santa, and he's like, I know what you're doing. I know I can go anywhere I want.
Yeah, that was very, I think I interpreted that as, so, okay, it could be a red flag of, oh my God, this guy's dangerous and abusive in like a violent way. Or it could be a sign of like trauma with like his body image. And it's probably both, right? But you could go about it, you could look at it more compassionately, or more like or more from a perspective of self-preservation, right? So that was, I think, like on the list. Like Michelle was probably keeping tabs on when she was gonna decide whether to finally just trust this guy or not.
Yeah. And well, before that, the word is Emmett has the word, the phrase "little woman," and he says he gets Howard to get little, and then he's like pointing at what's her name again?
Michelle, right?
Michelle.
Michelle.
You keep saying it, and I know it's so stupid I can't even remember what it is. But yeah, her name is Michelle, and Emmett's like pointing at her like she's one, and then Howard's like, "Girl."
Oh yeah, he literally can't say the word woman.
Yeah, he can, and then the one he comes up with at the end is princess. Oh, princess, little princess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That was like,
yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, you should have made it more clear." That was pretty funny.
God. Oh man, I'm just getting the heebie-jeebies remembering. I watched this movie a while ago, and that energy just disgusts me so much.
yeah, I can definitely see that triggering the. Yeah, well, especially considering that that he's kidnapped and raped a kid,
Yeah, but they don't know at that point, right? Or do they know at that point?
I think they suspect it. I think they suspect as soon as she figures out. She doesn't
the help when she sees the help.
Yeah, but that before that, I think they had suspicions. Or I think there's definitely was suspicions. Yeah, but eventually she sees the evidence is she has to crawl through into a room that none of them had been in through the ventilation system so that she can reboot the air filtration system, or else they will suffocate and die. And when she does it, she's in this little room. She sees this hatch, and there's a window, and it's got a bloody help scratched into it. This girl is apparently stupid because she spelled it backward because it's facing the inside and not the outside.
Yeah.
But and the earring, there's a bloody earring in there, and it's the same earring from the photo of this guy's supposed daughter. Yeah, I think if I could hold on, let me see if I have the Wikipedia open. They say they began to adapt to life underground, but they don't say in Wikipedia when the charades scene is. They say they begin to adapt, and then when the ventilation system fails, she sees the skylight with the help scratched inside, and she shares this with Emma, and then they begin to plan. So I think the timing of that charades game would change the mentality of the characters going into it. So I wish we had that. Well, I thought like I put two and two together at that moment, like already.
Yeah. Well,
but even then, I still feel like I still am like not sure if he. I wasn't sure if he killed the girl or what was going on. I think the thing that was running through my mind was him calling her princess. Is he a pedophile, or is he transposing his daughter onto her? or both. You know, that's what
So you
was
think
going.
he had? Oh, okay. Do we think what happened was he actually had a family? His wife realizes he's a fucking psycho, divorces him, restraining order, like takes the kids, including his daughter. He kidnaps some girl to try and like kind of, I guess, mush his wife and daughter into one entity.
Oh, yeah.
Kills her when that gets bad, and is now projecting that relationship onto Michelle as well.
Well, I think at that point in time, what I was thinking was that might still actually have been his daughter who died, and he might have been telling the truth. And the reason that he's calling her princess is because he's psychologically, like, she's wearing her clothes, and she's like got her stuff like in her room, like her lamp and everything. And I was like, maybe he's actually like psychologically like attached to her as if she's his daughter now.
Here's what I'll say. I don't think that the girl that scratched help was actually his daughter.
Me either.
Because apparently, like, yeah, like she was kidnapped a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And if he was the father, he'd be the first person they would investigate.
She shows the photo that Howard had shown her. What was her name again?
Wait, the Michelle?
Michelle, yeah, okay.
Michelle.
Michelle shows Emmett the photo that Howard had shown her of his supposed daughter, and Emmett's like, "Oh, I know her. She went missing." Yeah. So it's not his daughter. It's just some girl kidnapped.
Yeah. But do we think he actually had a family ever?
I have no idea. I would guess no, just because of how when and he's a really good actor, so I trust his performance to not be misleading. And I when he's like, she Emily, what was her name? Michelle. When Michelle is saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry that your daughter is far away in Michigan and everything," he's like, "Yeah, or whatever," and he just moves on. So I feel like he had no really attachment to the story. So
that's an interesting observation, actually. I am super bad with celebrity faces, so I don't know like John Goodman as an actor. I probably have seen him in other movies.
You can tell by performance he's good.
Oh yeah, no, everyone was really good in the movie. Like I fully was very in it. But what do you? Okay, so to bring this to a fun internet conversation, would you rather be, let's say, as a woman? So imagine yourself impregnable, female. Would you rather be stuck in a forest with Howard or a bear?
A bear, for sure. Absolutely. For sure, a bear.
Then Howard. Okay.
Yeah. Wait, definitely. He's the guy. He is the guy.
He's the guy that makes women pick bear, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of like bears. I think I can imagine myself trying to, like I was saying, I want to save Howard. I want to reason with him. I can imagine myself connecting with a bear easier than connecting with him.
Oh.
Depending on what kind of bear. Depending on there's different types of bears. Okay.
Yeah, there's
like if it's a sloth
black
bear,
bears, which are pretty easy to spook off.
Yeah, and even a grizzly bear. Grizzly bears are the ones where you curl up. Most bears you don't curl up. Grizzly bears are the ones you curl up because bears are fighters and they fight each other, and so there's a chance when you curl up with a grizzly bear that it's gonna be like, okay, you're not a threat anymore, and I'm gonna leave. But
polar bear, you're dead.
Yeah, your polar bears will hunt you and stalk you for a month, and then go like you'll have a camp and they'll be like out there and they're, oh, that's a cute polar bear, look at that. And then I've read stories like
if you see a polar bear, you're just dead. You gotta like start.
Yeah, I was reading this story about these people that like they went to like study polar bears and they only brought flare guns. They didn't bring, and they're like, oh, they're so cute. The polar bears are hanging out outside our camp. They stayed out there for like a month, and then eventually the polar bear came in and ate them all and killed them all. One of them survived, I think.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I did not know about that. I knew about the guy who was like really into bears, and I believe these were grizzly bears, and he like camped in there's like a documentary about him or something, and there's like a recording of him and his girlfriend getting like a audio recording of them getting mauled or something. Like that he was like very experienced with bears, and
they're dangerous too.
Very passionate. Yeah. So,
But way better chances with the grizzly. But when you went sloth bears, I think sloth bear is probably more dangerous than a polar bear, because polar bear will eat you, but a sloth bear, they evolved in the same. They had an overlapping territory with like tigers, which can easily kill a sloth bear. But sloth bears, the way they survived was becoming so aggressive that they would scare the shit out of a tiger. Like they will like just attack anything. So if it's a sloth bear, it's just going to attack and kill you.
I did not know that this is what these bears were called. I just googled a picture of them. They're so stupid looking.
Yeah.
They're so cute. Oh my god, okay, like at least let me look at something cute before I die, right? Like,
yeah. Panda bears are just so stupid. They don't eat. They can.
Oh, panda bears. Oh, if you
they can eat meat.
Bear, you can hang out with them.
They can eat meat still. Their bodies can, but they just don't.
Yeah, they're too lazy. They're too lazy.
They're too lazy.
Reproduce. Like the only reason they still exist is because of human intervention. So better not hear that humans did nothing for the environment.
They are the they are the max of like, so as Max is of boyfriends. Panda bears are the max of bears. Like, and it's really attractive and sexy. We love them. We want to nurture them.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. So that's maybe a good survival strategy, actually. Be so kind of like Jerry from Rick and Morty, at least up to, because the latest season actually Jerry gets some shit done, but up to like season 4, I think, or something. Jerry from Rick and Morty, all he is like he's just so adorable and so nurturable.
You couldn't bear for him anything bad to happen to him, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But actually, since you did bring up Poor Things earlier, what do you think of the character of Michelle as the Every Woman versus the character of Bella Baxter as Every Woman?
There are some ways that I thought that Bella was really good as the Every Woman, especially because of how vapid the movie kind of is. And in a metaphorical way. And when I say every woman, I mean not actually a woman that women can relate to. I mean like as a metaphor for what it's like to be a woman in the patriarchy. Because maybe you don't agree with me, but I think that the way to progress with feminism, one very important way is that women need to get fed up with being treated like children. And I think there's a lot of benefits to it, and I want to be treated like a child too. I talk about all the time. I'm a little crybaby. I want to be treated like a child. I want to be nurtured. But like I feel like we just do that by default to women, and it comes at their own expense, and it's a subjugating kind of thing, being treated like a child. And so I feel like she like being like biologically engineered to be an adult with a mind of a child, and it's like okay, this is like a very one-to-one metaphor for how I see like the social situation. And then immediately after she like enters the world, like her whole life becomes about sex, and I'm like, okay, this is like so everything like I've been thinking is like and but they fucked it up in so many ways, and by the end she's just so cold, and that's like kind of like presented as like a solution. But you know, I take back everything I just said. I've reevaluated my take on feminism. No, we don't need to stop treating women like children. I'm wrong. What we need to do is start treating men like children. Okay, there's nothing wrong with how we treat women. We treat women pretty well. It's that we don't treat men well, and that makes men hate women, I think. Anyway. But anyway, so only in a metaphorical way, and I think that Michelle is a way better. Michelle is her name, right? Why is Michelle so hard for me to remember? She's a way better Every Woman. She's actually a woman, and she's a good character, and and she's got some trauma, but it doesn't stop her, and it makes her a little bit impulsive. Like her decision to, like that's what makes her a good character. Her decision to leave and not kill him and like make a hazmat suit is kind of stupid, but also like it makes sense for her, and so she's not, because I feel like in a lot of movies they make Mary Sue characters that are women, and she's a strong woman that isn't a Mary Sue. Finally,
Yeah. That's exactly what I felt when I watched 10 Cloverfield Lane. Is I do think so many of the time the strong girl boss isn't very, at least for me, not very relatable, but Michelle was incredibly relatable as a character in that I do actually, that's interesting, the treating, so by like children, do you mean more so with tenderness? Because I don't think
there's a couple
that
ways.
Okay,
so with the tenderness, that's a good. So yeah, I'm conflating different things, and okay, you're helping me realize. So the tenderness is a really good. I think it's really good that we treat women with tenderness. I think a lot of men get resentful of women because of that, and especially because they themselves want to treat women with tenderness. Those men that they see it in themselves, like when I want to give a woman this type of like love and so then they just get resentful. But also we kind of subjugate women, and we like men beat women but also like economically, and yeah.
I do wonder though if so for me, like there's nothing more than that I hate than when a man like tries to, like especially older men, when they try to act like they're doing you a favor by like imparting their wisdom onto you or something, like they want to mentor you and also fuck you. I hate it.
That's good. That's why I wanted to like, so I got this hint. That's why I wanted to get to know you in DMs, because I just want to talk to women like that, because I'm sorry I interrupted you, but like it's just so many women want that. A lot of women want that, especially young women, like 20-year-old women really want that.
I do wonder if it's necessarily that they want, or the possibility of getting some sort of resources or a leg up in society that they want. I also think about this scene, and I haven't seen all of Bridgerton, but the way that women find their own type of power within the patriarchy is through the way that they socialize, right? So there's a scene in Bridgerton, I think. Yeah, and there's a scene in Bridgerton in like season or episode 1 or 2 or some shit, where this girl is getting like blackmailed by this guy into marrying him, and so she tells her network of women, who then start rumors about him being creepy and like what happened to your ex-wife and all that stuff. And so they kind of use that social power. And so I wonder if for the women who enjoy, I guess, the way that the world works right now, is that because they are kind of wanting or like finding a way to play the game that works for them.
They feel empowered in a way. So
yeah,
that's why it's like the treating like a child. Like everybody, if you treat anybody like a child, they won't want you to stop treating them like a child, even though it's bad for them. That's why I say child. Like I don't know if it's like the perfect word, but it is like there are powers that we give to women in the patriarchy, and they come at their own expense. That's why I think, and so.
But I think what comes with also being treated like a child is not being granted agency, right? Like kids get put to bed at 9 p.m. and that's that. You know what I mean? Like which is the expense you're talking about, right? So I wouldn't necessarily agree that being treated like a child full stop is the desire. I do think you're pointing to something of like tenderness, worthy of protection.
Well,
women and children on the boat first.
Well, no, hold on. What I see is with the current and modern feminist movement, I feel like women in general want to get rid of the negative things, like the subjugation and stuff, but they don't want to get rid of the positive things. That's not like some of the positive things. I don't think we should get rid of them. I think we should just move them to men too. But
yeah, I think anybody. I mean, I don't know what feminist circles you're thinking of, but in my perspective, if, for example, like we want
dumb
to
feminists.
be
I'm
kind
not
to men.
like scholarly feminists. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just like
Okay.
just like women. A lot of women like that feel empowered.
So kind of like the women who are like, sorry, let me just see if we're thinking of the same people.
Okay.
It's like the women who are like, who want to be basically funded, like kind of like trophy wives,
but they're not freedom.
Also aren't gonna.
Yeah, they want to be the kid, but that rules the house. You know, like they want to. Yeah, and that's very attractive. Who wouldn't want that? I don't blame women like for wanting that, and it's yeah, but
I don't think that's healthy, and I don't think anybody who would go for a relationship like that on the man's or woman's side is actually like healthy. But like, I mean, I guess people don't owe us health, so whatever. But I wouldn't like, say that this desire comes from a healthy perspective. It probably comes from a traumatized perspective, and they also probably deep down are like, okay, well, if I'm going to be viewed as an object anyway, let me just, I guess, be, the trophy. I'm not going to clean the house because, that's, actually human beings have to do that. So I'm just going to be here and be pretty. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's power that you. There's no easy alternative. So, like the last woman that I was dating, the reason is because the one thing that a common conversation I have with Tinder dates is like, because I'll often suggest a smart first Tinder date, like let's get ice cream. Because I know, like, a public place, there's not, like, but it always ends up going off in private. Like, I've done Tinder dates where I end up going, like, skinny dipping in, like, a secluded, like, Audubon. And it's like, and I'll have this conversation, like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, why are you doing this? Like, this is, like, you shouldn't just do this with guys, like, just random guys off of Tinder, like, for the first date. And they're like, well, you shouldn't either. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. But, the last woman that I was dating, she told me, like, in that conversation that she used to walk through a park at night to get home from work, that she knew that was, like, notorious. And, like, after she left, someone that matched her description was, like raped and, like, killed there.
Oh, my God.
And she said that even if that happened before, she still would have walked there because she thinks that she deserves to walk there. And she shouldn't have to not walk there just because she's a woman. And
did she have an alternative way to get home?
Yeah, and she did. Okay. She wanted to walk the fast way, and she wanted to walk the way through the nice park, and she didn't want to have to give that up. And that's the attitude. Like, so, like, when you have a safe alternative, just give into the patriarchy. The other alternative is scary and dangerous and sucks. And like, I guess you have to throw a lot of bodies at it for it to be. I mean,
it's the way I say, like, this is a decision every woman has to make, is either be stupid or be a bitch. And I choose bitch every time. Like, be a paranoid bitch who crosses the street anytime she sees a group of guys or whatever. And like, I mean, not to that extent. I think part of, like, also, I think part of being a human being in general is being able to accurately assess your environment. Are you in a high trust environment, low trust environment? I think it's it's curating your circle, curating who's around you. And, as women, we do have to have safety plans when we go out on Tinder dates and all of that stuff. Or, I feel like if you're smart, that's what you do.
Yeah.
So if you've chosen the bitch route, that's what you do. But
she was doing the stupid out of bitchiness. She was being stupid because she was being a bitch. She was not actually stupid. She wasn't actually stupid. She told me very eloquently. Yeah. She understood. Like, she's like, I could be killed, but I even though I could be killed, I'm such a bitch that I don't fucking care. You know what I mean? Like, that's the.
It's kind of almost like, so yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and I'm not actually calling women stupid who choose the other route. It's what they're gonna be called. Right? Why did you go with the guy? Even though theoretically you should be able to go on a date without the fear of being murdered, right? Like, So theoretically, right? In a perfect world. But I, honestly, this is kind of a difficult situation, just because physiologically the facts are the facts. Most men can overpower most women, right?
Sometimes,
and so that's
sorry.
always. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sometimes I wonder, like, so in these conversations, like, I always, in dating, I'm always trying to be like intimate, and just so, and it's so hard on like Tinder and shit, because there's so much, like, I feel like women are afraid to be for the reasons you're just talking about. They're like afraid to be intimate with guys, and so I have to like woo her before she'll like let me. But that's like, that makes me feel like I'm being like manipulative, and it makes me feel like I'm not showing her my true self. So that's why these types of conversations, like about like being alone with a man, these are intimate conversations that are like the current situation. So that's what I'm talking about. And one thing that often comes to my mind is like, I'm thinking like, if we're gonna go to like do skinny dipping, just make sure you have a taser or something. And that's what's coming to my mind. But like, if I'm the one you're going with, it's useless if I suggest it, because then I fucking know. So it's no point to it. So then I'm like, okay, so the most compassionate thing to do is to not tell her and just hope she does. I don't know.
I think you're overthinking it a little bit, in that at the end of the day, the way that they manage their safety isn't on you. Your job is just to not be the creepy murderer guy, which you're not. So
I know. It's just the most intimate thing to talk about is the dynamic between me and her in the moment. It's almost a little bit. My concern is a little bit disingenuous. I'm just trying to talk about what is happening right now when that happens.
Could you reword that a little bit? I'm having a little bit of trouble latching on to what you mean.
So when I say intimate, I'm saying like what are like intimacy, like is like being honest and like being vulnerable, and me saying that like it's dangerous for you to be with me is me being honest and vulnerable, and it about the specific thing that is happening right now. Like if you had a taser with me, you would be more safe. And it also is like it's almost like a self-deprecating kind of thing, and it's not like I'm trying to take ownership of her safety. I'm just trying to like connect with her and connect with her anxiety, and
I do. So for me, like I'm glad you mentioned the self-deprecation, because saying that could mean one of two things: a confession, which is or it is self-deprecation, which is, I think, I don't think that's the best way to go about it. Like, what do you think? What are you?
So like,
you're trying to connect with her anxiety, right, by saying that, but I think that's I think that. I wonder if that's a conversation for a first date.
It's always,
or like a conversation for the man to initiate.
It's always worked well for me. It's not a conversation. It's not a conversation I would have in text, because I would think that would be concerning. But like in person, where it's like, it just comes across as like very vulnerable, I feel. I definitely get the hint. You and I already understood this about you from the Max thing. You have a lot of that fear, and a fear of men. And that's what I hate about dating. Because it's not fair to me.
It makes sense. It's something that I've realized, and like a lot of my circle right now, I've curated, I think, a wonderful circle of men. So I like to think that I don't need to have that fear anymore. And that's what I was talking about with being able to evaluate your environment. When I was young and stupid, I didn't know that that was a thing that needed to happen. But now I evaluate an environment. I'll be a little bit more wary at a club. at a festival, for example, I talked about this at another panel with Brittany, I think. I mentioned how if you know the culture of a place, you can kind of tell who's safe and who isn't because you know the culture of a particular place. So for example, at a festival, if a guy's wearing like a harness and little booty shorts, but like he's straight or whatever, and he has like the little hood on and he's dressed appropriately for the festival, I'm like, okay, this guy is here for the festival. For some reason, if a guy's dressed like he's, just got home from Costco or like wearing normal street clothes, then I'm like, okay, what are you doing? He starts talking to girls. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Because there's a lot of drug use at festivals, et cetera, et cetera. That puts a little red flag in my head. So I think just gaining the tool, just for anybody, not just for women, gaining the tool of evaluating your environment can really make you not have to live in that fear.
That triggers.
That
Well, no,
said,
that's not true.
Yeah.
You're not. That's okay. That's triggering me.
Oh, how so?
Okay, because you're saying that the fear will help you not live in the fear because the solution is the fear.
Oh, kind of, because fear is a survival tactic. I think it's not about getting rid of the fear because it helps you survive, but I think it's not letting it rule your life. And another thing is there's like a point in time where, like, for example, like if a woman's super traumatized, any guy coming up to talk to them will spike of anxiety. I feel like once you heal, you can kind of, maybe with experience, data, guys coming up to talk to you, the way that he speaks to you can indicate, okay, we don't need to be afraid, right? So I think there's valid reasons for women to be afraid in general, quote unquote, or in certain environments, but that fear quickly goes away as soon as the situation is presented correctly, if that makes sense. Like if a guy comes up and is like, hey, I saw you, I find you very pretty or whatever, I was wondering if you'd like to exchange numbers, and then he leaves when the woman says no, there's no problem, right? There's no reason to be afraid. If a guy, after you say no, starts following you around the street, shouting after you.
Yeah, that's very clear.
Exactly.
But thing that triggered me was the clothing thing, because I hate having to put on airs to get the chance to be intimate with a woman. And I wouldn't have to put on airs if I was fucking rich or something like that. But that aside.
What do you mean
But so
putting on airs?
I'm getting that to that. So like the guy that's like totally dressed up and totally like all slutted out, and it's just like I don't want to have to do that shit. I just want to connect with somebody, and I feel like especially in a big city, it's not this case in like rural areas because people just actually want to connect with somebody. But in a big city where women have so many options, and a lot of them are more dangerous. I don't know about more, but a lot of them are like they get a lot of attention from men, and they are on like they're vetting men so hard, and it's like, oh well, I have to not just because like what if I just am a sweatpants slob, but I'm the best sweatpants slob in the world, and you're never gonna know that unless so I have to become Mr. Pretty, perfect pristine, like, and before you get to know, like, I want to just be as I am, and I'm a little shitty, so I feel like that it really reduces intimacy, but I understand why. I'm not saying that I understand why.
Let me clarify. It's not about slob versus not slob, because sweatpants are very appropriate festival attire. I was more so talking about the culture of like a club versus festival. I feel like festivals are generally a little bit, at least in my experience, have been a bit more higher trust. And it's not about the sweatpants, because it wasn't a guy wearing sweatpants that gave me the red flags. It was a guy wearing like he was going on a boat. You know what I mean? Like at a rave. But he looked like he was going on a boat. So that's very
sure,
refined.
like a guy wearing like a trench coat in 80-degree weather. That's weird. You're weird. Like I've seen that. It's like
a little bit. Yeah, it's just kind of like you're not part of the vibe. Why are you here if you're not going to be part of the vibe? But of course, that there is a degree of prejudice. I'm not saying there's not, but it's like several things, right? First his clothes, and then his behavior. Usually at a festival, the way you talk to people is you evaluate, are you on the same drugs? Okay, we're on the same drugs. We're gonna go talk to each other. And then you just kind of start dancing to the music, you start flowing with the boy and whatever, and then the conversation happens. Versus if you're just standing there straight, like you're not even dancing, which I guess some people, when they take certain things, that might be the way they present. But then you are cognizant enough to turn around, pick out a girl who is clearly on substances, and then start asking her for her number. That's a little bit different, right? That doesn't fit the culture of the festival vibe. That's a little bit more maybe club, right? So that's what I mean. I mean, it's like the way you evaluate your environment is like, okay, does this person know what they're doing in this environment? Are they acting appropriately for the environment?
I feel like you've got some nuance to this, but I don't like it. It's triggering a thing that I really don't like about dating.
Are you wondering if you?
I like being the guy.
I
like being the guy that just walk up to you with a smile. I'm dressed as I am at a like, I don't know, like a pride festival or whatever, and you're standing there and everybody's dancing, and I'm just there smiling. I walk up to you, hi, and like I often don't even want to fit in. It's not that I don't like. I just don't like when I was in college. When I was in college, there would always be like big cliques, and I would try to hang out in a clique, and I realized like, oh, like these people aren't all friends, and this actually kind of sucks. And the only real time I enjoy being around people is like in a more intimate setting, and there could be a bigger group of people that are more intimate. That takes a lot of time to build something like that, and like people that are all just like acquaint. I just don't enjoy that type of socialization. I'm an intimacy type person. I can do the group thing, but I just it feels very fake. So
you're saying you'd be the type of guy at Pride Fest, which I think is different from raves, because Pride festivals tend to be like families and people dress all types of ways, versus like a rave.
Well, when you said somebody wearing like straps or harnesses and stuff, that's why I thought of Pride Fest.
Oh,
well, it made me
very
think of
common at raves as well.
It made me think of myself at a Halloween costume. Like I wore like a dominatrix outfit almost, and I had like. I'm not gonna torture you with this description, but let's continue.
You were wearing a BDSM-ish outfit?
Yeah, and I was and I had fire, like, so I had like over, like, I had like a pair of like panties on over like the leather, and in there I had like a bottle of Fireball, and it was like, and so it was like, and then women would come up to me, ask for like shots of Fireball for my crotch, and it was very I got a lot of attention doing that.
So it sounds like you fit perfectly into the vibe.
No, but I didn't. No other guy was like that. I was the only like guy that went like a slut.
It's not about going like a slut or not going like a slut. It's about, are the people there like vibing with you? It's so hard to explain. Like, oh my God, I feel so cringe, like rave person right now. But vibes are very, very nebulous, and it's very hard to explain. Because I think okay, imagine like the guy dressed like he's going on a boat, but he's like totally chilling, like right at the rave. He would fit in then. It's like a combination of factors. So you're dressed at Halloween, boom, costume. You dressed in kind of a funny, slutty outfit. That's very Halloween. That's very normal to do at Halloween. Lots of people dress like sluts. Lots of people also don't dress like sluts. Both are normal variations of Halloween.
But I was the outlier because I was the only guy that they'd ever seen dressed like that.
And so you brought something new, but that still fit within the parameters of appropriate Halloween attire.
I don't know. I was really risking it.
Yeah, but it worked.
But that's what I'm saying though. I'm saying that like I'm always like risking it, and so I feel like I walk up to you at a, like you would be able to to vet me, but in a setting like Tinder or just mainstream dating, I don't get through the cracks to get to that point. It's very frustrating for me.
I do hear that a lot about online dating, and the kind of where I'm at with it is some people, they have lots of success with that, but I do think that especially if and this goes for men and women, but probably especially men, if you're sensitive or neurodivergent, or you are in niche lifestyles and stuff like that, overall, I do think actually meeting people in real life is probably better, whether it's through school, work, clubs, activities, exercise. I do think that that's...
Exercise is not a good one. I tried that. Women are so guarded at the gym. So
you're thinking, so I rock climb, and rock climbing are very, that's a great place to meet people.
I should get into rock.
It depends on the activity.
Yeah, I should get into rock. Yeah. Okay, the gym though, and just the gym is
the weightlifting gym. Yeah. Unless you go to.
I went to Orange. I went to classes. It was Orange Theory, and which is Orange Theory is basically CrossFit but marketed to women.
Isn't that a cult? Anyway.
Yeah, people say CrossFit's a cult, but this wasn't actually CrossFit. It was just CrossFit.
Oh no, I thought Orange Theory is also kind of culty, but anyway, sorry.
I don't know. I left. They let me exit the cult, but yeah, I liked it.
So you liked it. Did you become friendly with anybody there?
Not really. No. Nobody talked at all. I flirted with the coaches way more than anyone else. And the coaches would flirt with me. I didn't know how to do. Have you ever done you rock climb? So I'm assuming you've worked out to some extent. But you have to to isolate your if you want to do some like bicep type things or curls or whatever. You're supposed to arch your back. Like a porn star almost. And I didn't know how to do that at all. I could not arch my back. And those female coaches had a real ball. This was I was a absolute femboy at the time. And they really, really enjoyed teaching me how to arch my back. And it was I was digging it, but yeah.
So there you go. I feel there's certain sports where you go to socialize, and then usually the gym. I mean, even at the gym, there's signs that somebody's open or not open to talking, big headphones, obviously don't talk to me, or earbuds or whatever. But if you're glancing at each other, smiling, hey, can you spot me? That's a big one, So there's ways. I'm not saying universally go talk to people at the gym. Bars are also, places where people socialize, but you need to, I think, understand the culture of each place that you're visiting, right? At the weightlifting gym, you understand the culture of headphones, don't talk to me, don't interrupt in the middle of a set, all that stuff. You go to the rock climbing gym, don't beta spray, maybe
beta spray.
It's when somebody's working on a bouldering problem, don't stand there and tell them the solution, because part of the fun of climbing is figuring out how to climb the route, right? Don't start, harassing someone or whatever, obviously. But if you're hey, I've been working on that route, what's your beta? Can I see? Whatever. That's great ways to start conversations. Bars, clubs, festivals, they all have different cultures, and that's not to say that you have to like them all, but I think if you understand them enough, then you can have enough information to be successful in socializing within them and potentially finding a match. And I think if you know the rules, you can break them effectively. So you're saying, oh, I was, dressed like this, and this in Halloween, I didn't fit in. Yeah. But you did, because you know the rules of Halloween, and you broke them effectively in a unique way, but it wasn't you
I hear what you're saying, but I
flashed everybody.
but I hear what you're saying, but a part of me, I feel like I believe you, but I don't want to believe. I don't want I because you liked Max in Poor Things. Because you liked Max in Poor Things, I feel like
even admit that we're projecting our own things onto the characters. Because I like Max, you can't trust what I'm saying.
Well, I know. I just feel like you I feel like any woman that likes Max must really hate men. No.
What does that say about the men that I love in my life? Are they not men? Or
okay, look, Max literally, they were on their wedding day at the ceremony, and her technically her husband,
her father.
her husband and father comes angrily in a military outfit and says no, like this is wrong. She's never like seen him before, and he's like, I object. You're coming with me. And then she's like, oh, I will. I'm sure Max has no objections to that, right, Max? And then she just turns and leaves. And then he's like, oh yeah, and it's like, if you want your guy to be like that on your wedding day, where you can literally just like say, oh, I'm going to go with this other guy instead, you won't have any objections, right, bitch? And you just turn and you, that's.
But the relationship that Bella and Max had is very, I think, different and also not very explored in the movie, right? Because when she comes back to marry him, it's been like, what gap of time? How many more days have they spent together and blah, 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 right? But, no, like obviously in a real life scenario, that isn't the way that that would go.
Okay, but so the thing that you like about him isn't the power you have over him, or is
no?
It?
I like that he respects her agency, whereas other characters
that could
don't.
be tomato though. I don't know. Respecting her agency.
But is that power? Like, is it power over someone? But the fact that they respect your agency. Like
no. If I'm in a monogamous relationship, there's one part of your agency that I don't respect.
Oh, well, that's okay, but that's like obviously you have to have an alignment in values and have the same goals for the relationship. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the relationship, right? And so, like, it's not that you don't respect their agency; it's that if they cheat on you or do something outside of the bounds of your relationship, the relationship's over.
I would define that as not respecting their agency. Really?
I would disagree, because you're doing the thing. You're leaving the relationship. You're not holding them hostage in a bunker, tying them up.
I feel like monogamy is kind of in a way being held hostage, but we choose to do it.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think monogamy is a thing because, oh my god, I always talk about this and some people hate it, but it was my favorite part of evolution class, of how human mating behaviors are very similar to the species of birds that I forget. But basically, depending on the amount of resources, that species will go for polygyny, one male, many females. That's when resources are abundant.
And there's different mating strategies. Or I'm thinking, oh, never mind. Sorry. I was thinking something else.
Yeah. There's also the acorn woodpecker, which is a fun one. But this specific species of bird, when there's plenty of resources, it's polygyny. When there's scarce resources, it's polyandry. And when it's kind of it's monogamy. And I think we are living in really times for most of us. And honestly, like, I choose monogamy because I don't have the energy for anybody else's bitching and shit. Like, I don't have the energy for that. I don't have the spoons for that. I have energy for my one and only. So
interesting. Yeah, I guess. But I feel like that would yeah, maybe. I was the thing I was thinking of was there's some insects. I forget what type of insect it is, but there are different types of males. I forget what maybe it was a spider. Which is not an insect, but whatever. There's different types of males. There are the males that like kill the other males and like get the woman, and then there's the males that like sneak in and get the woman, and then there are
the female, because woman is a human by default.
Whatever. Anyway. I thought that too. There's three different strategies, and then there's
the male that is feminized enough to.
There are males that copy the females, and act like the females. There's the sneaky males, and then there's the normal males, and all of these mating strategies exist, and they compete within each other, and they actually have success in different scenarios and different reasons. That's part of their reproductive thing. Yeah.
I think several species do that. I think some cuttlefish do that as well, and lizards. So there's several species of sexually reproducing animals that do that, which is very interesting. So wow, we've veered off very actually not that far from 10 Cloverfield Lane, as that is a big theme in it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I disagree that monogamy is a trap, unless it is literally a trap in that you're in a society where it's forced arranged marriages, or like it's very legally difficult to
I just think
get
you're.
a divorce.
I just think you're
stuff
giving
like
up
that.
some rights. I just think that you are giving up some rights for this, not like legally, but for the relationship. You're saying I'm going to give up on other people.
But is it giving up if you don't want to do that anyway?
I feel like we all kind of do a little bit. Like, even though you don't have the energy, you still be like, you know, you still have thoughts. You know, you don't, you know, but you know, it's not like you're gonna be completely pure of thought. You know,
well, yeah, but I don't know that thoughts. I mean, depending on the relationship that you're in, thoughts don't necessarily break the.
Of course not. Of course not.
Right?
The actual action does. But the
action, yeah.
I'm just saying that part of you like wants to some extent. It's just you don't have the energy, or you don't. You know, it's not the right. You're not in the right environment with enough resources, and you don't have enough time, and you know, you're giving something up.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, is like if you're in a healthy relationship, you can discuss these things. If the environment changes, if the situation changes, I mean, look, that's what I'll say.
You'll do what Bella did to Max?
No, what? No, it should be a mutual understanding, right? And I think if Bella and Max had that mutual like if he really didn't give a shit, and also it's not that he didn't. It's that he didn't give a shit because he knew that she will come back, and she did. So I think
okay. But the thing that no, because when in the beginning he is freaked the fuck out when then he learns that she's gonna go off with Duncan, and it makes him incredibly. So I don't understand, like, why would he not be freaked out? He goes along with it.
I think because she came back another time. So he was assured. So the first time he freaked out, he didn't know her as well. He was then assured by her father figure, who knows her better, I guess, that, you know, this is right for her. She's going to explore. And then she tells him, hey, I've been, you know, a prostitute and all of that. And he doesn't mind at that point. So at that point, I think him and her are more aligned. And again, I really wish we got more Max screen time, and I wish we got more into his head.
I just don't read it the same. I don't read
it. Yeah, I'm reading it that he just like wasn't like, it wasn't that he was self-flagellating himself. He's like, yes, I deserve to get cucked. Like, I don't think that.
I think he was repressing and hiding, and so like he's like, but I know you've been with other guys, but I assure you, my love for you is very passionate. And then she calls it cute. And it's like, oh, that's cute. And I love that. I love that our relationship is so practical. Oh, it's so cute that you think that you have that passion for me. I'm never gonna have that for you, but our relationship is so practical. It's just so pathetic to me. It's like, I wouldn't want to be treated like that.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody would in IRL have a relationship like Bella and Max just because. Yeah. It's all fantasy, right? And humans are much more complex.
Yeah. So, is there any direction you want to go regarding Cloverfield Lane?
I think we covered pretty much everything that we could talk about as far as the sexual horror, the Howard versus Bear, which I think is a very valid question, but Howards are pretty rare, thankfully, and Emmets are more common. Is there anything you feel like we missed?
So you would join. You told me that I don't think I'm revealing, like, but you told me that this movie is like one of the only times that you could relate to a woman in a movie, and you actually said that a second ago. But would you have chosen to go to the military camp instead of going to safety? Would you have chosen to go fight the aliens?
Oh, so What do you mean by safety? Safety as in staying in the bunker with Howard?
No.
or-
At the end, she has a crossroads, and she's listening to the radio, and she goes back,
Oh, right.
and then she looks at the street sign, and it says, and there's the arrow pointing to the city where the military camp is, and they need people with that can help, or there is an arrow going to the place where it's a safe zone, and she will be safe, and she won't have to fight the aliens, and she pulls back and goes to fight the aliens.
Goes to the military. You know what? I actually didn't pay attention to that part. For me, the fact that she chose to escape Howard, I was already like, yes. So I would definitely go to the safe camp for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like,
I think safety is nice if I'm not trapped and under threat of rape. Like, it's great.
Yeah. I like that moment. It's like she is like, It's like she is like, I've become a weapon. I feel like she's like, I've been traumatized and I'm a weapon now, and I'm going to use myself as a weapon.
Yeah, well, here's the other thing is, like, I haven't been in a situation like Michelle, even though it was very relatable. I think it rang very, like I said in our panel with Brittany, it rang very emotionally true. I haven't been in that situation. So if I do come out of something like that, then, you know, fuck, who knows? But me right now, safety for sure. I'm dopey.
Yeah. It's definitely not sane. Yeah, it's almost like a choosing to die. You know, I don't want to die. I want to not die. but also I don't
say how you risk it all. So.
But I mean, then it's the choosing to save other people. I think I might do it. I might do it.
Yeah, so you'd go to the military camp?
It'd be tough. It'd be stupid.
Well, so here's my thing is, okay, so you mentioned, this is a good one. I don't think we went down this thing yet. Howard saved her, but she didn't ask to be saved, right? And so in that, who says we need saving from the aliens? We could also all just die. So there's the perspective of, okay, people are needed at the military camp. That's from the perspective if you think.
So you're saying I'm like Howard if I want to save people from the aliens?
No. I'm saying that I think the wanting to save people, which I think is very noble actually, is because you think it's worth for them to survive, right? Like on a philosophical level, on a deep level.
Even if they don't think it is, I don't care. So if like I'm in a room with somebody and they're trying to take their own life, I will, like, if I have to beat them to a pulp to stop them from killing themselves, I'll do it. Like in a crazy hypothetical.
That would hold up in court. Yeah,
definitely
now
not.
I'm thinking about the legal.
Definitely not. No, absolutely not. You know, but I still feel like I had to.
Would it not count as because the self-defense is like defending another person or yourself, and then if they're trying to kill themselves but you stop them from dying even though they're injured, I don't know. Anyway, that's an interesting court. I'm gonna Google the bylaws of that later. But I wonder, I think about Don't Look Up. Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
Yeah, there's like the scientists who are trying to figure out how to stop it. I wonder also how many people were like, well, it is what it is, you know? And I wonder what kind of person I'd be in a situation like that. I don't know, actually. I'm thinking right now I just drive to safety and hope there's enough people who want to go to the military base camp and be heroes or whatever, but I'm not trying to be a hero.
Well, yeah, also like being a woman, there's like that adds a whole other layer that I don't like thinking about, but now I like talking about the things I don't like thinking about. But like like being a woman, there's like the biological reality that humans, you could actually be serving humanity by just surviving to have kids.
Exactly.
Oh, I hate you for that one. I hate you for that one. I hate you for that one. I don't have that privilege. I don't have that privilege. You only need one man.
Hey, the sperm needs to come. You can be
like ants. You can be like ants, and ants have like basically all ants are females, and they have a couple slave males that they just use to reproduce with.
You need a few sperm providers.
A couple. Yeah, a couple, you know.
Not one would not be enough for the genetic diversity.
Yeah, well, whatever survives the war is probably whatever's the strongest genetic material, so You just throw them all at the fire.
It depends.
It's a big
because
raging fire. Just throw males at it until the fire gets put out with our blood. And
so I do actually wonder about that, because if it was, I think about, is it about necessarily being male, or is it about being physically stronger? Because I've talked about this hypothetical with my fiance. I was like, okay, if women were an asexually reproducing species, or like similar to those lesbian whiptail lizards, so there's genetic diversity, but it's still done through just female interaction. There's no sperm involved. Would women still exist as a class? And I think rather than being a sex class, it would be I think the women who are carrying children, who would be, I think, subjugated by the stronger women, or women who, I think, because there are women who are physically stronger than other women, right? And so I think it'll be like a division into weak women and strong women. And so it's more like throw the strong at the fire, or the stronger at the fire until it's put out.
Men are just,
which is,
but there's the importance of the large gametes in the reproduction, and there is just the fact that men are generally stronger. But way back in the day, women would hunt. It's a myth that women didn't hunt. In ancient like China, like women were equal in wars and stuff. They used pole arms. You don't need to be like the strong. You just need to be skillful enough to use a pole arm. It doesn't fucking matter. You're dead. And yeah.
I actually think about the origins of patriarchy, and there's a theory, I think in some feminist literature, that it was when paternity was figured out. That kids didn't just magically pop out of women, but rather that children were fathered. But otherwise, everybody would just, the mothers would take care of the children, but then everybody else would take care of everybody's children. The men would take care of everybody's children. The childless women would take care of everybody's children. But when the men figured out that, oh shit, that's a little me right there, and who the fuck's kid is that? That's when it's a theory. Wow. I don't know if that's actually how the origin of patriarchy.
I know a little bit about this because studying art history. There was a point in I don't know, like at some point we started having paintings of children in their little child world. I think it was like the Romance era. I think about there. And we started looking at like a painting of a kid with like toys and stuff. Before then, none at all. And kids in art were like always like subjugated by the parents, and they're present. They are not a full person. They're like less than a person. But then we started getting interested in the actual experience of the child and actually empathizing. And that's actually kind of like a new thing in human history. And I feel like we just so that's a good thing, but also that could have led to the subjugation of women too.
Oh, that's interesting. But that's relatively, the Romance era is relatively recent.
Yeah.
So, but women were subjugated long before that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that necessarily, it might have, I guess, contributed or added a new lens to it, but I don't think it began it. I think it began in prehistory, to be honest.
Maybe.
But
the Neolithic revolution, when we started living in cities and
agricultural. As soon as agriculture became a thing, it all went to shit. Return to monkey. Let's become nomads.
What is the Unabomber's name? Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah. But I was actually talking about this as well with my fiance, about how we're pretty recent about the concept of being nice to children. Like, it's a pretty recent concept. Like, with the whole gentle parenting thing and everything. I think that's good. I think that's great. Yeah,
it's like the difference between what was it? Gentling a horse. Is that called gentling? Like the modern way you train a horse is like with a lot of like love and kindness, but in the olden days you just it turns out that when you do it the sensitive like soft way, like you can have way better results, but it's a lot more work. It's way harder. You can do it to way less horses. You need like a one person to a horse to do that, you know?
Yeah. But
back in the day, they would probably have way more kids.
Yeah, you're right. But I think people are becoming more thoughtful about having kids, and also aren't having enough resources to have kids. So that's why the birth rates are declining, which some people seem scared of. I personally think that's the right thing to do. I think if you are not going to be the best quality parent, then you shouldn't become a parent.
How old are you?
26.
If you don't mind me asking. Well, it's easy for you to say. I'm 30.
Why? I don't get the fear-mongering of age to a point. I do think, like, it does suck, like, if you really wanted children, but it didn't turn out and you're, like, now 60. Even if you do have an opportunity to have a child, I don't think you should, because then you're gonna die when your kid's like 20, and that's fucked up. But I mean, shit, like my grandma had a pregnancy at 56. Like, oh, wow. So yeah. So there's I'm not too worried about that. Like I'm probably gonna have kids in a year and a half to 2 years.
Oh wow. You're planning on so you do have the you're just, so it's really easy for you to say that. Then it's really easy for I just don't have kids. I'm gonna have them, but you don't have them.
No. But the thing is, I've structured my life such, I've chosen to play the societal game to be financially stable and have the resources, and I didn't move away from. Well, first of all, I love the city I live in, but second of all, that's where my mom lives. It's where her husband lives. It's where my fiance's father lives. My fiance's mother is like 40 minutes away. He has sisters and brothers that are relatively close. So we have a community.
Oh, well, like, I think that people like me should have kids and people like you shouldn't. That's what I think.
Why?
Because if everybody that plays the game has kids, then the game is then you're perpetuating the patriarchy here, and I want to bring
the patriarchy. Why the patriarchy?
It's just whatever.
Yeah. So I think you just gotta. It's all about knowing your environment. You know, like. I think if you know your environment and what you can accomplish in your environment, you can make anything happen. You know, my mother immigrated as a single mom with 2 small girls at 33 to the States from Russia.
But you're just adding a caveat. You're just adding a caveat on top, like, oh yeah, sure, you can make anything happen, but also if you
But I think you should do your best to know what you're working with, because I think if you don't know what you're working with, that's how I think it's being willfully ignorant. It's like the people who like buy a new iPhone every year and then make posts on Twitter about how they're struggling.
Look, if you're at the stork factory, okay, and you have to pick between, if you could pick me as being your parent, that is your best choice. I will be the best parent, but I don't have any money, so. You wish that I had money. If we're at the stork factory, like, someone please give this guy some money so he can be my dad.
I mean, so how important? I guess it's like about weighing it too, right?
I feel
because I'm like, how important is it for you to be a parent versus pursue career goals? You know what I mean? I think that's a big
as a
thing
man,
people sacrifice either way.
As a man, typically it is that you have to pursue career goals to be a parent, which is the inverse for women, and that's why I relate to women so much more, and I feel I have a lot of these.
So who says you can't be a great stay-at-home father?
90% of women.
So where's the other 10%?
I know it's a numbers game, but I'm lazy. Well, it'll happen, but yeah, it just gets so. I'm really bad at playing the field, and I get attached, and yeah.
It's not even. It's.
It'll happen. It's just gonna walk
Like,
through eggshells and
you
glass
left
together.
before I could say this again in the Poor Things thing, but you need a dommy mommy who's gonna, be your art patron, and you are gonna bake, banana bread or something, and take the kids to their little soccer practice. And I think that's a life that is possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you don't need to, like, if you're feeling any pressure to play I don't know. I don't even think the trad people like playing the trad game, to be honest. But like, if you don't to feel that pressure, because I think I personally think it's dumb to
I know
really
it's dumb, but I do feel it's the same pressure as the woman that is afraid to, and not literally the same, but it's the same as the woman that is afraid to walk in the park. I don't want to walk in the park, and so I might never have kids. But yeah, like,
what are you?
the woman that'd be the ideal candidate to be that dommy mommy. She doesn't want to be that to me. She wants kids. She wants to be a mommy.
Well, no, well, she might want kids, but that doesn't mean that she wants to be the primary caretaker of those kids. Do you know how many women I've heard say, "I wish I could father kids"? So, I mean,
well,
it's a thing.
Well, then stop being a coward, you women. Okay, so like, man up, and yeah.
No, I mean, I say that shit all the time. Like, if any time a woman is like, "Guys that I like just don't approach me," and I'm like, then approach him, bitch. Like, what? Approach him.
Yeah.
Like, don't wait for him to approach you.
But
if
I mean,
you're,
just
change your strategy.
It's yeah.
Yeah, she's out there.
No, I'm not like crestfallen or anything. It just sucks. I just hate dating. I hate dating. I told you I wouldn't make.
Oh, me too. And see, that's another point to monogamy, because you don't have to date anymore.
It sucks so much. It's so awful.
So I'm just saying, you were ragging on monogamy, but you know what? You don't gotta date anymore.
No, I love monogamy. No, you're saying I love monogamy. I actually I'm.
We were comparing it to a trap, but
it's a trap that I love though. It's like I want that piece of cheese so much. I'm gonna grab that mouse trap, and I'm gonna love it. But I think it's just good to admit the things that are that suck about it too.
I think, okay, so the way I'd view it is because the word trap has a very specific
Well, you are the one who said trap, right?
No.
I said that you don't have freedom. You're subjugated, or yeah.
I think so. Subjugation. Subjugation. No, subjugation is a very negative connotation.
You're losing freedom.
So there's...
what I said was there is one part of your independence that I don't respect if I'm in a monogamous relationship with you.
Oh, respect. Oh, yeah. Yes. It was the word respect. Okay. But I mean, to me, it's kind of like, I don't respect it when someone abuses me. And I think that breaking the boundaries upon which you both agreed is abusive. So it's not the same. But I guess, yes, it's less freedom. But I mean, like, it's kind of like, but I don't want that freedom anyway. It's like, if I had the freedom to like go and stab puppies in the head, like, okay, I don't want it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I feel more comfortable doing this hypothetical because you said you have a fiance, but if it makes you uncomfortable, just let me know. But if I was dating you, then I would be uncomfortable with you saying that, because I would be like, no, you have to admit it. You have to admit it, because unless you admit that part of you wants to fuck other guys, then I'll never feel like, I feel like it's repressed. I feel like it's there, and I will be like, no, you have to admit it. like very neurotically.
Yeah, I mean, no, I get that. Like, that's like something that I talk about in my relationships too, or my current relationship, is we talked about like, what's our divorce going to look like if it happens?
Okay,
you know? And we talked in detail about that.
That's a kind of conversation, yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, and I think like why at least like our relationship works is that we talk about how hot other people are. Like, we like straight up, like, yeah, that's not like, yeah. And we both make comments. that imply that we have sexual attraction for other people and everything like that. So
Yeah,
that's a
you're
conversation.
just too lazy. You're just too lazy to do it.
It's literally that. We've talked about it, and we've talked about how maybe in our 40s we'll be swingers. So, yeah, But there's also people who are, I guess, they have the experience of being demisexual or asexual or whatever, and that's.
I feel like everybody is demisexual. They just don't know it. They just don't know it.
Agree with that.
And the people that don't know it and go with it anyway are just self-harming.
I think it's I don't know about most people, but I do know it's a very common experience for women. Although I've experienced both types of attraction where I'm just like, yup. And it's very, I'd say, shallow. And the deeper, not deeper, but like I first have to know you before I have any sort of feelings like that. So.
Can I give you like a sort of a TMI? Like, it's some type of thing I'd talk about on my stream, but you're like here. About like my sexuality. So just let me like I used to be on I weaned myself way down. I picked the weirdest music for this. I weaned myself way down on Adderall, and but I was very, very heavily medicated, and that means erections are a lot more difficult. So I became very in tune with what really worked for me. It's because I was so paranoid about being able to get hard. And so that demisexual, like being that real connection was really important for that to be able to work. And now it's so easy for me to get boners. And I understand how, I could just ignore that, but like I'm actually not getting that full fulfillment. And it would be like, it would be very shallow. Like, honestly, the nut wouldn't even be as good. But like the boner will work, but like that I now
physiological versus emotional plus physiological.
The emotional makes the physiological work more.
I think that is true, but I don't know if that's necessarily quite the experience of demisexuality. As I understand it, the people who identify as demisexual, they don't get the physiological at all. Like
I don't believe a lot of stuff. I think
that I have no idea.
I think everybody is bi, and
and autistic.
No, not autistic.
I'm joking.
Why do you say that?
Well, because that's also like a big thing on the internet. Like everybody thinks everybody's bi and autistic.
Oh, really? Well, I just think everybody's bi, but I think that our homosexuality is usually latent and repressed, and you can like unlock it, or like I like that's why when the last time we were talking, I was talking about the idea of like political lesbian. I don't even necessarily think it's politically lesbian. I think there's lesbians and gay men that both like they just have so many negative experiences with the opposite sex that they just like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I want to have sex with guys. I like guys, or I want to have sex with women. And they just like, you know what? Yeah, and then they start doing it. Like, I can totally do this. I like it, and then I feel like we could all do that if we really wanted to.
That's interesting because for me, like I'm bisexual, so I don't, I have attraction for.
You're just self-aware. That's what I think.
Well, I don't agree though that most, like, I don't know about, like, I can see lesbians having lots of negative experiences with men, but I don't agree that most gay men have such negative experiences with women that women put them off forever and they're political gays. I mean, I'm sure there's political gays.
There's a lot. Seriously, there's a lot of these dudes. Like, oh my God, there's so many gay men that are so misogynistic. There's the men going MGTOW, men going their own way. The MGTOW to gay pipeline is really strong.
I'm all honestly for MGTOW as long as they leave women alone and don't.
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
Nothing's wrong with it. Go do it. Like,
I've heard a lot of women say that. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of in the queer spaces I've hung out in. Like, I've even heard which I think I've heard a lot of gay guys being like, ugh, yeah, sexuality is not a choice. I wish I could be attracted to women. Look at women. Ugh, but nope, I'm into men. You know,
but then
and then
have
there's
them
always
talk.
like
Listen to them talk about their mom, though.
That's interesting, but what about the straight guys who hate their mom and are misogynistic? Do you think they just didn't experience it as heavily negatively that they didn't decide to unlock their bisexuality?
I don't know. It's complicated. There's a lot of ways, I think that you could. I think that I am a blank slatist, but I do think that we have proclivities, and you can be born different, but I think that those proclivities in themselves can turn into totally different presenting. Like, I think that the same brain could be extremely gay presenting or extremely straight presenting with the same genetic start. Just how it interacts with the environment and, interactions in the environment that change it.
I mean, yeah, sexuality is very, very complex, so I can see how you came to that conclusion. I'm probably more of a Kinsey scale person, but I will say that something I learned about surveys and statistics is that if you have people that are reaching the extreme of either spectrum, then your spectrum isn't extreme enough, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So usually people are going to fall in between, the two extreme numbers. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like you have somebody that's 0.1% attracted to one sex and then 99.999% attracted
but that
to the
1%
other.
could become your whole world. That's what I'm saying. Like, you could start having a fetish. You have a foot fetish. Like, it's like the foot is just one part, but you're that's the only part I care about, and it becomes
something controversial. I think if you literally have a fetish, not a kink
fetish,
but literal fetish, I think that's a pathology. It's a paraphilia.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like that. Brittany says I'm watching too much Sam Vaknin.
I don't know who that is.
he's a psychologist. But yeah, it's very much into the. I don't think I got it from him, but I'm very much into the extreme psychodynamic model where everything is pathology. So yeah, have you ever heard of what is it called? Sexual imprinting. This is something that we talk about with animals in captivity. So this happens with lots of different types of animals.
Like the crane or something that sexually imprinted on the caretaker, and
yes.
So he was the only one who could
Yeah, it happens with God, if we have female gorillas in captivity, we now learned that if you want them to have a healthy sexuality towards other gorillas, don't let human males around them, or else they will suddenly want to fuck human males. We're just so I don't know what it is about humans, but even.
Well, we are primates.
Okay, but just completely random tangent. But I think about this along, orcas and whales, don't eat us. They eat things that are exactly the same size as us. But they see us and they're like, huh, I like this. I'm not going to eat it. I don't see this. And they should see us as a threat. But they don't. And they just like us and they want to be friends with us.
Well,
it's so
orcas
weird.
Started attacking a bunch of yachts. So I think they're starting see...
That's been a thing. That's been a thing. But they don't attack the people. They attack
the human
boats.
Floating in the...
Yeah, they don't do that. They just attack the boat. They
but humans aren't really... Especially if you're unarmed... if you started attacking an orca with a weapon, I imagine it will defend itself. To the
of course, dolphins too,
right?
Yeah.
But you're not really a threat to an orca floating around there. With
but
your
you could be a meal.
body.
What I'm getting at is you could be a meal easily, and they just don't see us. I feel like there's something about intelligent animals that they're
real recognize real.
But we don't care about we kill whales. So
I personally love whales.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think if they had films,
Beluga whales. beluga whales are
Take over the
so
world.
sweet. Have you seen them? Like I met a beluga whale once, a baby beluga.
Oh, fun.
And it was like coming up and playing and like, doing all kinds of tricks. And
I don't think I've ever seen a whale in real life. Like, I want to go whale watching so bad, but I've never seen a whale. I think I saw like the fin of a dolphin once, and it was incredible. So yeah,
you
that'd be
gotta do
dope.
that.
I've never been, and I would never go to SeaWorld, but I want to see a whale IRL for sure.
Yeah. What are we talking about? I don't know. Oh yeah, imprinting, sexual imprinting. Okay, so I think that fetishes work the same way as sexual imprinting. So you have an animal in captivity. It's an abusive situation inherently. The limitations are whatever weird situation. It could even be not technically like abusive. It's just not normal and it's weird and just different and from. And then their imprint. I think all of our sexuality is in some way a form of that type of imprinting. And I think a fetish is like if you have to be into feet or whatever, it's just another version of that type of imprinting. And I think being straight, being gay, these are both just fetishes. I think normal sexuality is a fetish, but a fetish in itself is an outlier that probably indicates some type of trauma or abuse.
Right. So then by definition wouldn't normative. So I've heard some arguments though that, for example, the West, or I guess certain cultures have fetishized breasts, for example.
I have argued this to the death. I don't think breasts are even that sexual. I don't get it.
Well, yeah, their primary function is to feed infants.
Yeah, so guys that are into like, I mean, I have a mommy thing, but like, but the breast, it's just, yeah, I don't get it.
Well, here's what I'd argue. Considering they are part of successful rearing of humans. Human sexuality is how we reproduce. I think from conception to birth, that is all part of sexuality. You can't be a mother and be a non-sexual being. That's not to say that the child itself is involved in the sexuality, but the birth is literally the full circle of a heterosexual interaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And breasts can indicate health and fertility and the ability to feed your future children.
Yeah, but I have like a sort of some type of attraction to breasts, but it's not it is not a physiological sexual response. Like, it is a deeper, intimate response where I see this person as someone that I could have kids with or something, like in a deep psychological, like not that I want them in the moment, but like, but it's not like I want to do something sexual with her breasts. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, like I just see her as like, a woman who can have children. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that a woman who can have children is a sexual being inherently, right?
I guess it's like big balls or something. Like if you were into like a big ball would be an indicator that he's like fertile and can
more sperms.
Yeah. So he's able to impregnate better, but it doesn't. It's not. You're not fucking the balls unless you're doing something weird.
But they're. This is getting so graphic, but they can be involved in the play, right? They're not necessarily the focus, but you know,
just like breasts.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, this is a funny tangent to save you a little bit, but when I was a little kid, I was convinced. So I didn't know what testicles were for. So I just figured that women had them. I figured it was an organ that was important. And I was like, and I'd seen like girls, like I took a bath with the girl once and I was like, you don't have a penis. What the heck? And so I was like, okay, so women, they have one testicle in each boob. That's what I figured. You know, we have a ball sack, they have 2 ball sacks, and that's what I thought it was. I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty proud of this. I think it's
it's pretty creative.
Yeah.
It is pretty creative. So how old were you when you thought this? I'm just curious.
Probably until I was like, you know, like 6 or so, or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess I grew up around like you know, women breastfeeding, so I knew what boobs were for.
Well, no, I knew that about breastfeeding. I just
testicles make milk.
I didn't know what boobs or I knew about breastfeeding. I knew about breastfeeding, but I didn't know what testicles did at all. I just figured it was just an organ, and it's like having a liver.
Yeah,
and I figured why would
like
you not have
gallbladder? Like who the fuck knows what that does?
Yeah. It's like why would you not have why would I have testicles but you don't? So it's like it's like in there, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also I put it together because women would like in the movies, like a woman gets punched in the boob, she's like, oh, my boob, it hurts, and then it was like, oh, so it's like you get hit in the boobs, it's like getting hit in the balls, and it's the same thing.
I imagine the pain is probably very different, but it does actually hurt. It does actually hurt.
The testicle pain is so weird of a pain.
Specific.
It like comes like into it, like you feel it come up your abdomen. It's like very strange how it hurts.
That sounds like period cramps, honestly. Probably getting kicked in the balls is probably the closest thing a man can experience to like period cramps. Because like when men describe the pain from getting kicked in the balls, I'm like, oh, that's like my worst period cramps, and it does suck. It is like debilitating. So I
can take it.
I don't.
It's fine.
Well, I mean, some CBT gentlemen would probably agree.
Yeah. This is what happens when you talk to me. It just becomes disgusting. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Well, it is what it is. I had fun, so.
Good. So.
Is there... I'm good on spoons if you want to keep talking, but if you're getting
is there
tired...
anything about 10 Cloverfield Lane? If we want to get back.
No, I think nothing that I can think of. I think we pretty thoroughly ripped that or dug through.
I'm pretty sure that acid could not be as powerful as they made it seem.
Oh shit, no. Like I mentioned this to you, but I studied biochemistry, and there's some pretty powerful acids.
Okay.
In the Wikipedia, they say what acid it was. Let me just pull it up.
I have some practical experience with acid, which led me to believe it's not, because in going to art school, I did a lot of printmaking, but we don't use acid like that. So
yeah, it says it was perchloric acid. This shit HClO4. No, that shit will.
So he would have had like flesh.
Yeah, and so one of the more dangerous acids is HF, hydrofluoric acid. It will like go to the, it'll just keep going like to the bone. Like that's why it's so important, like in labs and stuff, to store acids and bases and oxidizers and combustors very properly and in the proper material. So in Breaking Bad,
I was thinking that I've seen that.
Yeah, where you can't use certain acids in porcelain. You have to get like a specific plastic. That's all real. So if you can actually watch what acid can do to flesh. And also, I mean, you've seen like victims of acid attacks, right?
Oh, it's horrible.
And that's with and that's with a small amount of acid. So the amount of acid that he got on him was much more. It's a pretty realistic.
The way I figured with the acid attack, I figured it is a slow onset but hard to remove from your skin. So I figured it would get on, and then no matter how much you rinse, it's not coming fully out, and then part of your skin is gonna. But I guess that was my imagination from the same brain that came up with boobs are just ball sacks. So
it depends on the type of acid, you know, how quickly can you get, you know, in water. Some acids I think react poorly with water, so you don't want to use water to get them off, or some chemicals. So yeah, there's different things, but with perchloric acid, the amount that got poured on him, that would do some real damage real quick. And he was nowhere near like an emergency shower, which is, I do wonder if he had an emergency shower and an emergency eye wash in the bunker.
He had a normal shower.
Yeah, but emergency showers, they will like, have you ever put your eyeballs in the emergency eye washes?
No.
It's really pressure. It's really high pressure. And you got to do it for 15 minutes holding your eyeballs open like this. Like if you get any sort of chemical in a lab in your eye, like it's a whole thing.
I watched a guy do that in a place that I was working, and at first it didn't work, and we had to get somebody to get it working. And then he did it, and then like because I was like beet red and it did nothing. It turns out he had just like a shard of metal in his eye. So it wasn't even acid or any chemical, so it was just waste of his time. Oh my
god. But rinsing your eyes could, or I guess if it got into like his skin or something, because it could, like if something gets stuck in your eye, it could help to wash it out depending on what it is. But
I saw him like the next week, and it's like, oh yeah, it was a shard of metal.
Yeah. Oh my god. Ouch. Okay, so we covered the acid portion. Is there anything else we missed?
Well, thank you for teaching me. No, is there anything on your mind?
Nothing that I can think of, but I had lots of fun. So thanks for having me.
All right, nice talking to you. All right, talk to you another time. See you.
Yeah, talk later. Bye.
Bye. All right. You're loving this convo? I'm glad. That wraps up this wonderful, wonderful stream. It's been a great time talking with all you and hanging out. Thanks for coming on, Arena. I will call you Arena now. I've been calling you Manushka because that's in our other conversations, because that's what your name on the Discord is, but Arena. And I'll remember it, unlike Michelle. Thanks for showing up to the stream, everybody. I've had a wonderful time, and you will have a wonderful time not watching my stream. Almost as wonderful as you had while watching it. I wish you the best of luck. I have the luck of not having work tomorrow. Hey, I'm not even, I need work. I need to work more. I need fucking money, but you know what? I also need to not work. Yeah, I need to not work. I need to work on that child rearing instinct. So, I need to keep up my nurturing instincts. So I'll just hang out with you for a second, and then I'll drop you off into the void. You'll be watching the VOD on this one. So many interesting topics towards the end. Good stream. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think. Got a Charlie horse. Fixed it. Got it just in time. Straighten out your leg. Right while it's starting up, you can fix it.